I got a year-end bonus, $15,000 net. My family asked me to hold it in the shared fund for the holidays. I agreed. 3 days later, they posted vacation photos from the Maldives. My sister texted, "Surprise. We knew you would understand." While they were gone, I changed the locks and updated the lease. When they returned, the key would not turn. My mom called, confused. "Why won't it open?" I answered, "I got a $15,000 year-end bonus." Net. I remember staring at the number on the pay stub, almost in disbelief. It was the biggest single lump sum I'd ever received in one go. No taxes pending, no deductions left. Just clean, cleared money. 15 grand. After a year that felt like walking through a war zone with spreadsheets for armor. I'm 32. I work in finance. Technically, investment strategy and risk modeling for a mid-sized firm downtown. I won't bore you with the acronyms. All you need to know is that I spent the year babysitting volatile portfolios, talking down panicked clients, and running simulations until my eyes blurred. No vacations. No sick days. Just grind. So yeah, I earned that bonus. The moment I mentioned it over dinner, my mom lit up. It was one of those casual Sundays. Roast chicken, half-warm wine, my dad watching football in the other room pretending not to listen. She leaned forward, tapped my wrist, and said, "That's wonderful, honey. Maybe we could just hold it in the holiday fund for now." I looked up. Holiday fund. For the family, she clarified. Gifts, food, maybe a little getaway. Just while we figure out the best use. You're so good with money. My sister chimed in. It'll just sit in your account otherwise. Might as well be festive with it. I hesitated. I always do. But I nodded. Not because I trusted them with it, but because I'd rather not have the fight. And because it was easier to say yes than deal with the aftermath of saying no. So I transferred it. All of it. Into the shared family account we'd set up years ago for emergencies. And then I forgot about it. For exactly 3 days. On the fourth, I opened Instagram while half listening to a budget review call, and there it was. First, a boomerang. My mom holding a coconut drink, flower in her hair, laughing like she'd just heard the best joke of her life. Then, white sand. Then, turquoise water. Then, hashtag Maldives magic. I blinked. Next slide. My dad in flip-flops and aviators, reclining like some retired executive. Then, a shot of my sister in a one-piece she'd never wear near any of us, sipping from a glass that definitely wasn't part of a backyard barbecue. I stared at the caption. Surprise. Family trip we knew you'd understand. I didn't move for a full minute. I just sat there with my coffee going cold, their vacation playing out frame by frame, all paid for, quietly, invisibly, by me. They hadn't said a word. Not one mention of a trip. No discussion. No offer to join. Just silence. And then sand. I didn't reply to the text. I didn't call. I didn't even mention it to my coworkers when they asked what I was doing for the holidays. Instead, I made another coffee, sat down at my desk, opened a blank spreadsheet. If they thought this was going to be another "sorry we forgot to loop you in" moment, they were about to learn that I don't do repeats. Because while they were zip-lining across coral reefs and posing for fake candid shots, I was drafting a new lease agreement, contacting the property manager, backing up 4 years of receipts, and changing the locks. They didn't see it coming. That's what made it perfect. While they were tagging each other in sunset reels and snorkeling selfies, I was unfollowing every one of them, removing shared access to the utilities portal, and speaking to my real estate attorney. Yes, I have one. I pay for grown-up things, like leases and legal boundaries. Technically, the house they were living in belonged to me. I'd bought it 6 years ago when the market dipped. A 2-bedroom on a quiet street. Nothing fancy. I let my parents live there for a third of what it was worth because they just needed time to recover after Dad's construction firm went under and Mom's bakery business burned out again. They promised to catch up on rent. That was 4 years ago. Since then, the only thing that ever caught up was my resentment. I kept the lights on, paid for repairs, replaced the roof, let my sister move in after her roommate's situation got toxic, which, according to her, meant someone finally asked her to pay her share. Every month, they'd fall short. Not because they didn't have the money, but because their priorities were flexible. But hey, they always had time for dinner reservations, spa days, and now Maldives. On the 6th day of their trip, I updated the lease. Market rate, $2,850 per month, utilities not included, first and last month due up front. I printed 2 copies and slid them into a folder. On day 7, I called a locksmith I'd used before. A guy named Ray. No small talk, just business. By sundown, every lock was changed. A keypad installed. Access removed. My friend Matt stopped by that night with drinks and silence. He didn't even ask. Just sat on the porch beside me and handed me a beer. We watched the security feed as a delivery driver dropped off a package. He laughed when I renamed the Wi-Fi network. Surprise, 2.4 gigahertz. They landed the next afternoon. Their flight touched down at 3:15 p.m. By 4:02, my phone lit up. Mom, hey sweetie, we're home. Can you unlock the door? Our key isn't working. I didn't answer. At 4:07, another message. Dad, what's going on with the house? Door won't open. Then a knock. I opened the app and switched to the door cam. There they were. Tired. Burnt noses. Matching beach bags. Sister in oversized sunglasses pretending she wasn't panicking. They tried the key again. Nothing. Mom bent down and peered into the peephole. Mouthed something like, hello. My phone rang. I picked up. Why won't it open? Mom asked, a nervous laugh behind her words. We're standing out here with luggage. I waited a beat, then said, surprise. Small update. Click. I watched them stand there. For 5 minutes. Maybe longer. Then I got another text. Sister, what is going on? Sister, is this some kind of joke? Sister, open the door. I didn't respond. Instead, I took a screenshot of the new lease. Sent it to the family group chat. Captioned it. You have 7 days to review and sign. Or vacate. No emojis. No explanation. Just business. That night, the messages turned. From confused to angry. Dad, this is not how family acts. Mom, I can't believe you'd humiliate us like this. Sister, wow. You're actually unhinged. We just wanted a break. A break. Paid for by my bonus. Without a word. I didn't respond. They'd taken a vacation. Now they were learning what it felt like to come home and find the locks changed. Metaphorically. Literally. Emotionally. At 11:42 p.m., I got one final message before I turned off my phone for the night. Sister, you'll regret this. You've just made everything worse. I put the phone down, took a sip of water, stared at the ceiling fan, and smiled. No, I just made everything clear. They didn't leave. Not after the new lease. Not after the locks. Not even after the silence. They stayed. Like nothing had changed. For the next 2 days, they squatted in the driveway, using the neighbor's hose to wash off sand, borrowing lawn chairs, living out of suitcases like vacation never ended. Mom charged her phone using an extension cord from the garage. Dad lit citronella candles at night like they were camping. My sister live-streamed herself saying, sometimes family hits turbulence. We still love each other. She said it with her face angled for lighting and a lemon water in hand. They honestly thought I was going to crack. They didn't realize something inside me had already broken, and I wasn't looking to fix it. On the 3rd day, I sat at my desk, opened a blank spreadsheet, and titled it, Family Ledger, Do Not Delete. Then I started entering everything. Not emotions, not grievances, just transactions. I went back 4 years. Every Venmo transfer. Every can you cover this and I'll pay you next week. Every bill with my name on it. $187.94. Groceries. March 2019. $412.60. Mom's emergency dental. $1,580. Dad's used Nissan. Tires. $2,800. Sister's branding boot camp that she never attended. $7,200. 3 years of underpaid rent. $116.32. Wi-Fi for a house I didn't live in. $38.60. A random Uber in my name to a bar I've never been to. Line by line. Date by date. No fluff. The total? $34,672.19. Give or take a few coffees and forgotten cash withdrawals. At the bottom of the sheet, I typed, adjusted balance following Maldives disbursement, minus $49,672.19. Then I converted it to PDF, attached it to an email, and sent it to all 3 of them. Subject: since we're talking about fairness. 3 hours later, my sister called. I didn't answer. 5 minutes after that, she sent a voice memo. I didn't listen. Then Mom texted, this is unnecessary. Families don't keep score. I replied, Families also don't take $15,000 and fly to paradise without asking. No response. Then, at 7:23 p.m., my dad called. I answered. He didn't yell. He didn't threaten. He just sighed. I get it, he said. You're trying to prove a point. But this is extreme. No, I said. This is math. Long pause. You used to be more forgiving. No, I said again. I used to be afraid of being the villain. Now I just prefer being honest. That night, Matt came by again. He brought whiskey. We sat on the porch watching the driveway. Mom was inside her car, scrolling. Dad was passed out in a folding chair. My sister? FaceTiming from the curb, telling someone she was experiencing temporary housing uncertainty. Think they'll leave? Matt asked. Nope. Think they'll pay? I just laughed, then opened my laptop again. The next morning, I contacted my lawyer, told him everything. He reviewed the lease update, checked the timestamps, and said, they're in breach. Serve them. So I did. Formal notice. 7 days to vacate. Sent via email and taped to the door. That night, I watched the camera feed as my mother read the paper aloud in disbelief, then tore it in half, then sat back down and scrolled her phone. On day 5, I did something I'd never done before. I printed the spreadsheet, drove to the house, and walked right up to them. I didn't say a word, just handed my mother the folder. She looked at it like it was covered in spiders. What's this? She asked. A copy, I said. In case your phones lose battery. She looked at the numbers, line after line. My handwriting, my ink, my time. You really kept track of all this? I nodded. That's disturbing. No, I said. What's disturbing is how much I had to write down. My sister stood behind her, eyes wide, silent. Dad wouldn't look at me. I turned and walked back to my car. The final 48 hours were quiet. Too quiet. Which meant they were planning something. I was right. On day 7, I received a letter. Handwritten. From my mom. No greeting. No apology. Just, we didn't raise you to be like this. You used to care. Now you treat us like tenants. Your sister is suffering. Your father is hurt. I'm heartbroken. Is this who you really are? We're family. You owe us at least that. I folded the letter. Didn't reply. Then checked the door cam. They were gone. 3 suitcases in the trunk. Mom behind the wheel. Dad rubbing his temples. My sister wasn't there. She showed up the next morning. Alone. She knocked. Didn't buzz. Waited. I opened the door. She looked like someone else. No lashes. No filters. Just tired. I'm not here to beg, she said. I raised an eyebrow. She pulled something from her bag. A small envelope. Inside, a receipt. Paycheck stub. She'd gotten a job. At an electronics store. Front desk. Minimum wage. I know it's not much, she said. But I needed to do something that wasn't waiting for you to save us. I didn't say anything. She added, quieter, I'm sorry. Still nothing from me. She started to turn, then paused. I get it now. What it feels like when people just take, and smile while doing it. I nodded once. She left. That night, I slept for 8 hours straight. No calls. No texts. No group chats asking for just one favor. No sister posting poolside. No mom sending passive-aggressive holiday recipes. No dad asking to borrow the car again. Just silence. And a lock that only turned from the inside. They didn't speak to me for 2 weeks. Not a call. Not a knock. Not a knockoff inspirational quote from mom. Just digital dead air. It was the most peaceful stretch of time I'd had in 5 years. I went to work. Hit the gym. Took my lunch breaks without checking my phone. The spreadsheet? I printed another copy and slid it into a fireproof lockbox, just in case anyone tried to pretend it never happened. Then, a Monday, late afternoon, email from my attorney. Subject, eviction complete, legal closure filed. It was over. Official. Final. And yet, I didn't celebrate. I just sat in my office chair, hands folded, staring out the window, letting the quiet settle. And then I opened Instagram. They'd blocked me. All of them. Not just unfollowed. Blocked. No more stories. No fake inspiration posts. No recycled family quotes about healing. I had disappeared from their version of the internet. That was their way of punishing me. Erase the son, the brother, the ATM, rewrite the story. 2 days later, my cousin Rachel called. Hey, I thought you should know, your mom's been making rounds, saying you locked your family out in the cold after stealing from them. I blinked. She's telling people you changed the locks so she couldn't get her medicine, that you froze the bank account without warning. that you ruin the holidays. I almost laughed, but Rachel didn't. She told Grandma. That's when I stopped breathing. Not Grandma, the one person who never took sides, who remembered my birthday every year, even when I forgot hers, who used to sneak me cookies when I was a kid and say, "Sometimes the quiet ones are the strongest." She thinks you're spiraling, Rachel said. She's worried. I hung up, drove straight to Albany. No warning, no text. Just showed up at her apartment with a grocery bag and a story. She opened the door, saw me, and paused. Her face softened, but I could see the confusion behind it. I didn't expect you. I know. I helped her unpack the groceries, made her tea, sat down on the old floral couch I hadn't seen in years, and told her everything. Not angrily, not theatrically, just facts. The bonus, the Maldives, the locks, the list, the silence. She didn't interrupt. Not once. When I finished, she reached over, took my hand, and said, "That's not what they told me. But I believe you." 6 words. That was all I needed. When I got home, there was an envelope in the mailbox. No return address. Just my name. Inside, a check. $3,000. In the memo line, "You're part of the family vacation you didn't attend." There was no note. Just the check. I pinned it to the fridge. Left it there for 3 days. Like a museum exhibit. A relic of their logic. Then I slid it into an envelope and mailed it back. No response. No thanks. No accusation. Just the same empty silence they thought I couldn't survive. But I was thriving in it. 3 weeks later, my sister called. I answered. She didn't ask for money. She didn't apologize again. She just said, "Mom says she forgives you now, if you're ready to talk." I let that hang in the air for a second. Forgives me. She says the family's moving on. That we can start fresh if you're willing to come to the table. I smiled. A slow, deliberate one. Then asked, "Is she still calling it the family fund?" "Yeah." I hung up. That same night, I got a message from my dad. Not a phone call. Not a visit. A text. Short. "You made your point. Time to come home." I stared at it for a long time. Then I wrote back, "I am home." A few days later, Matt and I went out for tacos. I showed him the message. He laughed so hard he choked on a chip. "They still think this is about you proving a point," he said. "Like you'll hit some moral reset button and forget all of it." I know. He wiped his eyes. "What are you gonna do?" I sipped my drink. "Nothing. Let them sit with the silence for once." That weekend, I took a drive. Stopped at a lake I hadn't visited in years. Just me, a folding chair, and a beat-up notebook. I made a new list. Not of debts, not of receipts. A list of all the things I'd gained. Time, space, sleep, peace, control. No texts asking for rent. No calls during work hours. No emotional blackmail disguised as tradition. That Sunday, Mom sent one final message. "You really don't want to see us again, do you?" I stared at it. Typed. Deleted. Typed again. Finally sent. "Not like this." And not on credit. No reply. They stopped trying. No drive-bys. No surprise visitors. No notes on the door. Just nothing. And the nothing felt better than I ever expected. Because for the first time in my adult life, I wasn't managing their lives like a CFO with no benefits. I wasn't the fixer. I wasn't the bridge. I wasn't the fallback. I was free. It ended with an envelope. Not a fight. Not a phone call. Just paper. Slid under my door in the middle of the night like some passive-aggressive ghost had visited. White. Thick. My name in my mother's handwriting. Inside, a card with gold foil edges, like a Hallmark apology. And a folded piece of paper. The card read, "Forgiveness is the glue that holds family together. No love, Mom. No, we miss you." Just that sentence, printed, as if it had been chosen carefully. As if someone Googled quotes to guilt-estranged relatives and picked the first one with soft edges. The paper was worse. Typed. Formal. Like a contract. They were selling the house. The one I grew up in. The one I paid to keep from foreclosure 3 years ago when the bank came knocking and they were too overwhelmed to deal with it. Back then, I wired $6,400 to cover missed mortgage payments. No questions asked. They never mentioned that in this letter. Now they were starting over. Moving into a smaller place, and with the proceeds, launching something new. A family trust. A shared account for future family needs. And they were inviting me to be a founding contributor. To help build the future together. Mom's exact words. "We believe this is an opportunity to reconnect through mutual support." as if nothing had happened, as if the locks hadn't changed, as if my name hadn't been erased from 2 Thanksgivings, 3 birthdays, and a vacation photo album. I stood there in my kitchen, reading it under fluorescent light, feeling nothing. Not rage, not grief, just fatigue. Like watching someone decorate an empty gift box and call it generosity. Later that night, I drove to the edge of the city, parked near a lookout I hadn't visited in years. It was cold, the kind of cold that settles into your shoulders and makes everything feel heavy. But I didn't leave. I pulled out the last remaining check I ever wrote to them. $3,000. For my father's knee surgery. The one I never got a thank you for. The one they told the extended family came from a private donor. I never regretted that payment. It was never about the money. It was about drawing the final line between compassion and enabling. It was the receipt for my own closure. They saw it as weakness. I saw it as a boundary. A door gently closed, locked, and sealed. Weeks passed, then months. Thanksgiving came. No invite. Christmas? Nothing. No, maybe we could talk messages. No forwarded e-cards. No passive, we still set a place for you guilt trip. And yet, for the first time, I didn't feel excluded. I felt untangled. They posted the usual. Perfect table spreads. Matching pajamas. Hashtag grateful for the real ones. All tagged. All framed. All flawless. Except for one thing. Every photo felt emptier than the last. And I don't mean because I wasn't in them. I mean because you can feel when a room is full of pretending. My sister sent one last message in January. We're not mad anymore. You should come around. I stared at it. Let it sit unread for 2 days. Then answered. You erased me. I just stopped chasing the chalk. No reply. Not even a bubble. Last week, I got a promotion. Senior Strategy Director. Corner office. Big windows. A salary that made me laugh when I saw the offer. More than double what I made when I bought them groceries every week and told myself it was just a phase. I celebrated by doing nothing. No post. No champagne. No performative gratitude. Just a quiet dinner. Just me. And the silence I earned. Not the silence they gave me. The silence I built. Brick by brick. Statement by statement. Boundary by boundary. People always talk about burning bridges. But they forget something important. Sometimes you light the match. Because you're finally ready to stop swimming back. And the peace? It's not loud. It doesn't clap for you. It just sits with you in a warm room and asks nothing. It doesn't need to be earned again, because you already paid for it. With every check, every ignored red flag, every call answered when you were exhausted. Closure costs nothing, but I still paid.